Good morning, guys. Welcome to Professor Vipin's YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to understand the Kingfisher Airlines case history, Vijay Mallya's extradition, and what could possibly happen once he comes back to India to face trial for the charges that he's being accused of. So, way back in 2003, Vijay Mallya decided to start an airline, a business class only airline, because his son happened to turn 18 years old. So Siddharth Mallya turns 18 years old and the father decides to give him an airline as a gift. I'm not kidding. That's the reason why, in fact, the airline actually started. So way back in 2003, the airline was started as a business class airline, and in a year or 2 years itself, it ran into quite a few problems. Now, the airline, in fact, functioned until about December 2011. So until then, the airline was in fact bleeding cash every year. So from 2003 till about 2011, the airline did not make profit even once. Now, the very purpose of which the airline was started was, in fact, the son turns 18 years old and the father decides to give him an airline as a gift. So you can see the very purpose at which the business was in fact even started wasn't even sensible. Now, another reason, in fact, I say that the airline did not do well was because the business environment in which it was functioning didn't do very well. So I say that because airlines in general find it very challenging to make profits. Now, Vijay Mallya introduces an airline which is business class in a time where low cost flying was the norm. That was the most trending thing there is. If you remember, Captain Gopinath started Deccan Airways where he introduced low cost flying. I remember, and I was still in my 10th grade, I think way back in 2003, 2002, you could travel from Bangalore to Delhi for just a few hundred rupees. And I had relatives, in fact, who were in different parts of India, and they would come down to Bangalore on the weekends by simply paying a two-way flight ticket for just a few hundred rupees. This is how inexpensive the airline fees were once upon a time because they introduced that low-cost flying or that no-frills flying. Now, any sensible person would choose this no-frills or no-cost flying because it doesn't make sense to spend such a large amount of money on domestic flights. Now, Kingfisher had never received permission to travel outside India. It was a domestic airline, meaning all the flights that they would do in a day was entirely within India. And now you had to pay a business class fee for, in fact, traveling within India. Now we're just talking about a few hours of flight, and you had to pay a business class fee for that few hours of flight just within India. Now, seeing that the market is, in fact, charging a very low fee for travel, but you, on the other hand, are charging a very high fee for your airline tickets. Of course, the airline ran into a lot of trouble and the airline eventually had to shut down. Operationally, it had to shut down, but legally, the airline continues to exist. In fact, the CEO of the airline, in fact, continues to exist. It's Sanjay Agarwal continues to be the CEO of the airline. It's only operationally it's been shut down, but legally it's still considered to be an active company. Now, Mallya had taken crores and crores of loans from banks like SBI and quite a few others in order to keep the airline active. These banks continued to fund the airline, hoping that they would make some amount of profit and they would get their loan back. Now, that isn't the challenge as such. What is very interesting is, and the media doesn't seem to talk about this, is the IDBI bank had gone about giving a loan of about 750 crores to Kingfisher Airlines, and this is a transaction that has come under a lot of suspicion. I say that because IDBI has got one of the strictest policies for giving out any loan. Now, IDBI says if you have not made profit, we can't give you a loan. And Vijay Mallya's airline has not made profit even once from 2003 till about 2011. So we're talking about even a quarterly profit also they've not made, let alone annual profit. So they've not made profit even once. The rules say if you are not making profit, we can't give you a loan, but still IDBI has gone about giving a loan to Kingfisher. Now, seeing that this is a huge violation of IDBI policies, the transaction has of course become very suspicious. So this is some history about Kingfisher Airlines and Vijay Mallya and how the airline actually fell. Now, coming to what has happened in the recent news, that is Vijay Mallya, in fact, could be extradited from UK to India to stand a trial. Now, there is a lot of debate, especially by the media, who went on to say that Vijay Mallya is a UK citizen, and that's the reason why, in fact, they're finding it so difficult to bring him from UK and, in fact, have him face trial in India. Vijay Mallya continues to carry the Indian passport. India does not encourage dual citizenship. When I say dual citizenship, you can either be an Indian by citizenship or a UK citizen by, you can carry the UK passport, but you cannot have both passports. Even you can have the American citizenship or the Indian citizenship, you can't carry both. So this is what they mean by dual citizenship, which India does not encourage. So what is extradition? Now, I have a few points here which is very interesting as I started to do some research. So, extradition is the act where one jurisdiction delivers a person accused or convicted of committing a crime in another jurisdiction over the law enforcement. So, what happens here is the jurisdiction, in fact, which is considered for legal purposes as such, is where the court battles are actually going to happen. Many companies use this as a way to deter any problems legally, in fact, which they have to face from customers as such. So let me give you some examples here, especially if you're looking at a food packet or anything, and if you're displeased by the quality of that packet, you would see that in the label they would have written there clearly that if there is any legal dispute that you're going to face, it will be in the jurisdiction of Delhi. Now, as soon as you see that you're a customer, say from Bangalore or from Chennai, you will be like, if I have to fight a case with this company, I need to go all the way to Chennai. I need to go all the way to Delhi to fight the case, and I'm a Chennai resident. I'm a Bangalore resident. Now, the purpose of this jurisdictions is all created to deter a lot of legal battles from being fought. It has both good consequences and negative consequences, of course. So, as soon as you see these jurisdictions come about, it's a way to protect themselves from these liabilities. So, here, you are residing in UK and there is a certain crime that you've been accused of in India. You have to come back to India if you want to face trial. Now, deportation, on the other hand, is when a person in one country does not have the right to be in that country and the person is sent back to wherever the country that he is from. Now, this is a recent example of that rapper 21 Savage, who is not at all, in fact, a resident or who's, in fact, illegally entered America and he's being sent back to his hometown, which is UK. So this is deportation, where you are illegally present in some country. Extradition happens when you are legally present in some country and that country says, okay, that's requiring you to go back, so we are going to send you back to wherever you're supposed to go. So, now, there's a lot of misunderstanding between the journalists where they say that, Mallya, who's wanted for defaulting loans, is a registered voter in UK, so therefore that makes him a citizen of UK. No, it doesn't work that way. Every country have got their own different bilateral agreements as to if my country citizen enters your country, how are you going to treat them? And if your country citizen comes to my country, how are you going to treat them? Now, UK is a relatively more friendlier country regarding these matters than compared to America. So, firstly, remember, all Indian citizens, apart from those in jail, can vote in UK. So as long as they're a resident for over a period of 6 months and a registered voter. Now, Mallya held a diplomatic passport. This was recently revoked, which allows him to go to any place in the world without any question because remember, he was a Rajya Sabha MP. Now, for example, if Vijay Mallya wanted to pursue politics in the UK and he can forget whatever has been happening in India, he has the right to stand for elections in the parliament in the UK as long as he doesn't have any similar case going on against him in the UK. So, UK all these years, when India has been telling them, okay, please send him back, their logic is, why should we? He's been doing nothing wrong here. So UK is also right, in fact, in keeping Mallya there for, because he's not done anything wrong there. Now, Mallya is required to be there and because, in fact, he's a powerful individual, he can kind of stay there in UK indefinitely. because of visa related reasons and because he's a very reputable guy, he could in fact stay there in the UK for indefinitely. Because he could stay there indefinitely, the UK government was like, why should we send him back? Now, after a lot of legal battles, we finally, in fact, have got the extradition system put in place, and we're able to take Vijay Mallya back to India. Now, what could happen once Mallya comes back to India? Already, there is about 13,000 crores worth of property that has been seized. Now, will Mallya's personal assets get into any trouble here? No, definitely not. But what will happen is once he faces trial, there's a good chance that he might be facing some serious fraud charges, money laundering, which can be in fact a big problem for Vijay Mallya, especially that IDBI loan that I mentioned. The other Kingfisher loans, etc., is not a problem at all because his no personal property as such is going to be held. But the IDBI loan, because he was rather a director of Kingfisher, he could in fact have some personal battle against which he'll have to face, where he could in fact face some jail time if he's found of doing something guilty of that particular transaction. So we're not worried about the Kingfisher Airlines as such. The IDBI loan is in fact which is more concerning because, like I said, a loan was given even though the company had strict rules saying that you have to have profit for us to give a loan, but his company made no profit, but he still got a loan. Therefore, that red flag, that bit of suspicion comes in. This is the whole history behind Kingfisher, Vijay Mallya, the legal issues that's there between India and UK. So, anyway, folks, I hope you found this video interesting. Do like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching Professor Vipin. See you guys. Have a nice day. Bye.